All right, let's take a trip. We're going on a grand tour of our cosmic backyard, our home in the universe. We'll start with the star at the very heart of it all and venture out to the icy, dark edges. So, let's explore this incredible neighborhood we call the solar system.
I mean, sure, we all memorize the names of the planets in school, right? But what is the solar system really? What's holding the whole thing together, and what else is flying around out there with us?
Well, when you boil it all down, this is it. The solar system is one central star, our sun, and absolutely everything that's trapped in its gravitational pull. And that's not just the 8 big planets. We're talking dozens of dwarf planets, over 200 moons, and literally millions of asteroids, comets, and other bits of icy rock. It's a really busy place.
So, before we start meeting all the residents, let's get our bearings. You know, every neighborhood has an origin story, and ours kicked off a very, very long time ago.
Yeah, just try to wrap your head around that number. 4.6 billion years. That's our best guess for how old this place is. The whole thing is believed to have started as this gigantic swirling cloud of gas and dust that eventually collapsed, creating our sun right in the middle and everything else from the leftovers.
And that brings us to the star of the show. Literally, the undisputed heart of our system, the engine that makes everything else possible, the sun.
You know, what's so wild about this is the contrast. We look up and see the sun as this, steady, calm ball of light. But that calm surface is hiding some serious chaos. The core is a mind-bending 15 million degrees Celsius, and its surface is just this violent, churning place, constantly erupting in huge solar storms and flinging these massive loops of plasma out into space.
And this number is the key to absolutely everything. Think about it. 99.86% of all the stuff in our solar system is in the sun. Everything else, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, all the asteroids, you and me, we are all just part of the leftover 0.14%. That incredible mass is why its gravity runs the whole show, choreographing the dance of the planets.
With the sun firmly at the center, let's start our tour of the planets. And you're going to see that they're pretty neatly divided into 2 very different families.
So the whole thing comes down to this dividing line. See, close to the sun, it was just way too hot for anything but rock and metal to clump together. That's how we got the small, dense inner planets. But farther out, past what astronomers call the frost line, it was cold enough for gases and ice to gather up and form into absolute giants.
Our tour of these inner worlds kicks off with Mercury. It's the smallest planet of the bunch, and it lives a life of total extremes. It gets scorched by the sun during its day and is covered in scars from eons of impacts because it has no real atmosphere to protect it.
Now you'd think the closest planet would be the hottest, right? Well, you'd be wrong. That title actually belongs to its neighbor, Venus. Its atmosphere is so thick with carbon dioxide that it's created this runaway greenhouse effect, turning the whole planet into a toxic inferno hot enough to melt lead. Oh, and it also spins backwards. So yeah, Venus is a weird place.
Moving away from that hellscape, we find an oasis, the third rock from the sun, our home, Earth. It's that unique, perfect mix of liquid water, a protective atmosphere, and a stable climate that makes it, so far as we know, the only place in the entire universe that has life.
And just beyond us, we find our last inner neighbor, Mars. The red planet has fascinated us for centuries. It's a cold, desert world now, but it might have been warmer and wetter a long time ago. It might just hold the clues to whether life ever existed anywhere else. And it's got these 2 tiny little moons, Phobos and Deimos, keeping watch.
Okay, so we're leaving the little rocky worlds behind now, and we're crossing that great divide. We're heading into the asteroid belt. This is this huge ring of millions of rocky fragments, basically all the leftover building materials that Jupiter's massive gravity kept from ever forming into another planet.
Our first stop in the realm of the giants is the undisputed king, Jupiter. This gas giant is an absolute monster. You could literally take all the other planets, mash them together into a ball, and they'd still fit inside it. Its gravity is so powerful it has its own mini solar system, with more than 90 known moons orbiting it.
Right next door to Jupiter is the real jewel of the solar system, Saturn. Now, other giants have rings, but Saturn's are just breathtaking. They form this incredible, complex system that's thousands of miles wide. But get this, in some spots, the rings are only about 30 feet thick, all made of billions of little particles of ice and rock.
As we head out into the deep cold, we meet the ice giants.
First up is Uranus, a pale blue world that's a true oddball. We think something huge must have smacked into it a long time ago and knocked it over, because it basically spins on its side. Its rings and moons orbited vertically, like a giant cosmic bullseye.
And at last, our final planetary stop is Neptune. It's the most distant planet from the Sun, a deep blue world that gets whipped by the fastest, most violent winds in the entire solar system. We're talking supersonic speeds. It's a true giant hanging out there at the very edge of the known planetary system.
But hold on, the tour isn't over just yet, because our solar system is home to way more than just 8 major planets. Let's check out some of the other residents.
Yet beyond those main 8, we find the dwarf planets. These are worlds like Pluto, Ceres, and Eris. The deal with them is they're big enough for their own gravity to make them round, but they haven't quite cleared their orbital neighborhood. Basically, they share their path around the Sun with other smaller objects. We've officially recognized a few, but there could be hundreds more out there.
So how in the world did we figure all of this out? I mean, our picture of the solar system wasn't built in a day. It's the result of centuries and centuries of human curiosity, discovery, and just looking up.
This map of our system has been a long time in the making. Back in 1610, Galileo's telescope turned the planets from just wandering lights into actual worlds. Then in 1957, the space age blasted off with the first satellite. We walked on the moon in 1969. And even as recently as 2006, our whole understanding got a shakeup when Pluto was reclassified. It just proves our map is constantly being redrawn. And that map might be about to change again in a big way. Astronomers at Caltech recently announced they have evidence for a potential new planet, and not a small one, a giant 10 times the mass of Earth, lurking in the darkness way out beyond Neptune. They haven't actually seen it yet, but they can see its gravitational fingerprint on other objects, suggesting it's really out there.
Which brings us to the final thought. We've toured our cosmic home, all the way from the fiery sun out to the icy depths. We know so much more than we did even a century ago. But with potential new worlds out there, the real question is, just how much is left to discover?